Greetings, Soulswind here, and welcome to Let's Play Cooking Simulator. This is another bonus episode, and this episode we're going to talk about the use of timers during cooking. There was a comment recently on episode 75, Sausage and Egg McMuffin, that one. Anyway, it said that look at whatever we're cooking or baking until it turns all the way green when it's ready, and we don't need 1,029,312 timers, meaning a lot of timers, but we need timers for several reasons, and here we'll discuss about those reasons. Firstly, thank you very much for the comments. Let's now talk about why we need to use these timers. Firstly, not every food or ingredient cooks the same way. For example, certain item may cook for 60 seconds and then has to be turned over to be cooked on the other side, while some items cook only 30 seconds and then we add other things to it and continue cooking. We'll need to know how far it's going to progress, and for this point we're going to use this dish as an example, the Brussels sprouts with pancetta and chicken wings. Okay, so now we're playing on version 4.0.35 and we'll use this example. So we need to add to a pot 500 ml of water, salt 5 grams, and Brussels sprouts 120, and then boil for 50 seconds. We need to cut pancetta into 10-gram pieces, and then we need to fry Brussels sprouts and whatnot. Okay? I'm just going to prepare all the ingredients first, because right here we are talking about just the cooking portion and the use of timers during cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare the ingredients, and the video will continue when all the ingredients have been completed. Okay, I've got the ingredients prepared. So we need to boil the Brussels sprouts for 50 seconds and then fry the pancetta for 40 seconds. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the timer to see if the progress bar is complete and the green bar fills up entirely when the 50-second is up. Because we cannot depend on the green bar. We don't know how far we need the green bar to be at for every ingredient. Okay, so I'm going to set up the timer for 50 seconds and we're going to boil the Brussels sprouts. So let's start with this one first. 50 seconds. Okay, we'll do that. 50 seconds. Alright. So now, let me talk about the second point, whereby if we are only going to look at one ingredient and without the timer, we'll need to be constantly worrying about whether, hey, how much is the progress bar? Do I have to check on it again? It is very difficult to multitask and work on other parts of the cooking steps. For example, right now, instead of looking at this, I know we can step away, but we will be worried that, hey, the progress bar is not complete, but how far is it along? Do I have to check that, it's here or there? So it won't be easy to focus on other tasks. Meanwhile, look, okay, it's done here. "50 seconds, it's up. As we can see here, the green bar is not completely filled up. So one of it, the Brussels sprouts, is only almost half. The water is about 80%. So we have no way to gauge whether we should follow the Brussels sprouts progress bar or the water, and how far along does it have to be at. So we cannot go without the timer. Otherwise we'll have to remember this for every ingredient, every step in every recipe. Maybe except for those that are fully filled. Still, we need to remember that, hey, okay, this is fine. We can depend on this ingredient because it's going to be fully filled up, right? So here, for point 1, what I'm saying is that we will need the timer because not every ingredient fills up the green bar to full. Only some of them do. And therefore, it's best if we can just use a timer. Next, we could have cooked both of them together so that this is also progressing properly, but if we were to focus on the green bar or maybe even stare at it like what I did, okay, of course we could have walked away, but still, like I said, I need to remember. We'll have to remember where the green progress bar is. But let's say if we stare at it, then we couldn't even have done this. Meanwhile, this could have been cooked for 40 seconds, I think. Yeah, because after that, this has to be added to the pancetta. This one added and then continue frying. So again, I'm going to set up the 40 seconds. Okay, and we can be frying this while we look at this, but I'm going to walk away and handle this one. Assuming we don't have the timer, we'll have to be constantly worrying about it. I'll now talk about the next point, which is 50 seconds of this. Okay, let's put this in. Again, we're gonna pretend that we don't have the timer, even though we're gonna set the timer. Okay, and then switch this on for 50 seconds. Now, where is the green bar? It's not even visible. So how do we depend on the green bar where we cannot even see it? And there it is. When we're talking about things, this is done. We can switch this off and look. It's not filled up to full again. These two, the pancetta green progress bar, the sauce progress bar, they're both not filled up to full. And we would have to be worried about this, and we would have overcooked this if not for the timer. Maybe even overcooked because I was still talking, I was standing over there, you know. Yeah, but then again, if not for this timer, we would still be standing there, right? And if not for this timer, how do we know what's the progress in here? Look, it's done. See? That's done already. Okay, the timer phase is no longer usable now. See? We wouldn't know if not for the timer, right? So, firstly, we're not able to depend on the progress bar for some of them. Some we cannot even see the progress bar, and even if we do, we'll be worried about them because we'll have to stare at them, and we are not able to multitask. And for multitasking, there are two different factors to it. Firstly, there's a possibility that parts of the ingredients will get cold. Like I was talking about this. Look, the Brussels sprouts have already lost some heat. Look, it's already like beige and not red in the thermometer, the thermostat and whatnot, because I've been talking and waiting, so there may be some heating issues already. So imagine that you have to worry about one ingredient and you have to keep on looking at the progress bar. It makes it even harder to multitask and work on other stuff, and therefore some of these ingredients may lose heat and have some heating mistakes and heating issues. And for recipes like tomato bruschetta, where there's like croutons in it, these can get cold very easily. The croutons, bread toasting, potatoes get cold pretty easily as well. I'm not going to say everything, but a lot of them get cold very easily. So these are the two things we really have to worry about. I was just talking for a little bit, and then the Brussels sprouts were already getting cold. Okay, now this is almost up. And now it's all fully filled and slightly overcooked. The Brussels sprouts slightly overcooked. Oh my god. Okay, luckily. Phew. Yeah. Okay. So we have to take everything out. I think we can just serve them, right? Can we not? Actually, we can. Right, so let's serve these, and then we'll continue talking about it after serving it. Let's take a picture. Okay, let's go. Right, there it is. Let's see if there's any guest complaints. Nothing. Okay, so we covered a few points. Number one, we cannot depend on some of the green bars because they may not fill up to full, and that we'll have to worry about which ingredients at which step for which recipe do we depend on for the green bar to fill up to full. And if it's not full, we even have to remember how far along does it have to be at. So that's number one. Number two, some ingredients will be put into the oven for baking, and without the perk, the thermal vision, we cannot see the progress bar. So we'll still have to get the habit of using timers because we can't even see the progress bar. How will we know how long it will take for the ingredient to finish cooking? So that's number two. And number three, we cannot multitask properly when we are worrying about the green progress bar. And for multitasking, there are two factors. One, we are not able to prepare some of the other steps together. I was simply talking for a short period of time. The Brussels sprouts were already turning cold and losing heat, although it's like still warm, I guess. That could happen to recipes involving croutons, anything got to do with heating of bread or potatoes. These two ingredients seem to get cold more easily or lose heat more easily, so it's going to be much more difficult. And then, if we were to focus on just the green progress bar, we'll have a hard time cooking other dishes in career mode. That requires a lot of multitasking. We'll have to remember this ingredient is for this recipe, and which progress bar and what ingredient, how much progress bar does it have to fill up. It's going to be really difficult to do so in career mode. So these 2 points make it difficult for us to just simply worry and observe the green progress bar. And lastly, this is a simulator trying to simulate real-world cooking. But in real-world cooking, there are no progress bars to look at. We also depend on timers. There are no real progress bars to look at. Of course, with experience, you may remember certain food need to cook for how long, but usually we'll need the timers to help us with some of the cooking. We can observe, yes, but with timers, it is more accurate, right? So it is useful to cultivate the habit of setting up the timers. Anyway, thank you so much for the comments. It did help me realize that I should address the use of timers in the game. And I hope this video helps to clarify why there's a need to use the timers. Thank you so much for watching this episode. That's all I have for now. Have a nice day.